Hello, and welcome to today's live chart readings. I am going live simultaneously on Instagram and on YouTube. So say hi, let me know where you're watching from, how you're doing. Today, the astrology, as I mentioned in my Instagram stories, if you have seen it, is a little bit complicated because we have Venus on one hand, the planet of relationships, beauty, creativity, is entering her domicile of Libra, which should give all of us a boost of creativity, inspiration, bring harmony into our relationships. But at the same time, we have Venus in an opposition to Neptune, which is on its own quite confusing and melancholic and can bring insecurity, sadness, things like that. So, welcome everyone who's watching. Please share where you're watching from. Today, I am doing mini readings. I am going to put on a comment just a second. Okay. Okay. So today is the just a second. I feel like there's something that's in my way here. Hi, Julia. Okay, I'm going to cancel whatever I was doing. Yeah, let me know where you guys are watching from, but just in a second I'll tell you what's happening today. Just give me 1 minute. I'm trying to clear up some of my screen so it's easier. Hi, Julia. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Jungle 4908. Hi, Sarah on Instagram. Hi, Ida 6461. We have people watching from Norway. We have people from California, New Mexico. How exciting. Okay. I think I'm gonna do what needs to be done. Pinning. Okay. So today I am doing mini readings. I do ask you to choose one question, and these are donation-based mini readings. Basically, pay what you can based on how much is comfortable for you. But suggested amount that I am putting out there is 25. You can pay more if you are able to afford it. If you're feeling extra generous, you can pay less if you're unable to afford 25. But it is your choice. And after you do that, you are on my list. I already have a couple of people on the list. And after that, all I need is your birthday information, date, time, and place of birth. And after that, you can either share it in the comments or you can email me at anastasia.astrology@gmail.com if you want to keep your information private. Okay. So, like I said, I do have a couple of people that have already gotten on my list. If you want to get on the list, there is a pinned comment with the information on how to get there. Hi, Ingrid. Just a quick thing. I prefer Anastasia versus Anna. Nothing wrong with calling me Anna, but it's just a bit of a pet peeve of mine. In Russia, Anna is a separate name. So I tend to be very like, I really appreciate a full Anastasia or Anastasia. Hi, Foxglove Fairy, Nancy from Sun Valley. Okay, so as it stands right now, I have Ingrid and I have Nancy on the list. So I'm going to start with Ingrid. And lovely ladies, Ingrid and Nancy, please tell me, do you want your information to be shared or do you want it to be private? Hi, Sam. Sam. Sam is watching on Instagram, my guru, my sage, my guide, my light of my the light of my eyes. My one of my astrology teachers. He's really awesome. Samuel Reynolds. If you are interested in checking him out, please do. Hi, Sam. Okay. Um okay, yes. So Ingrid and Nancy, please tell me. Okay, Ingrid says she prefers private. Okay, and so Ingrid's chart I already have pulled up. And the same goes for Nancy because you guys reached out to me ahead of time. So let me just check here 1 second. Sometimes doing a live is a lot. It's, a lot of things to keep track of. And now I'm doing it both on Instagram and on YouTube. So if it takes me a second to get to your question, just please be patient with me. I will I will get there. It's just going to take a second. Okay. So Ingrid wants her information to be private. Her question was she wanted guidance when it comes to love relationships and her purpose. Purpose. It sounded like purpose. Nancy said, I can show it. Melik 411, your first live with me. How exciting. Okay. So, Ingrid, starting with you. Let me see. I can potentially share your chart, but without showing your information. This could be a fun way to still see it. Let me just check it real fast. And for anyone new who's joining, I am doing mini readings. 25 is a suggested donation. To get on my list, I ask for a donation. You can either find the payment links in the bio on my page or in the pinned comment if you're watching on YouTube. And once you send the payment, you can share your information either in the comment section or via email at anastasia.des.astrology@gmail.com and ask your question. And I do ask that you sort of narrow down the question to one or two so we can, these are shorter readings for those who want full-size readings. Anastasia.astrology.com is my website, and that's where you can get a full-sized 1 hour reading or an hour and a half reading with me. Okay, so Ingrid, back to you. Let me remove the information. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen for those watching on YouTube. So if you guys are watching on Instagram and you wanted to see the screen I'm sharing, check out live on YouTube. Okay, Ingrid. Hi, Roha. You're saying you ask your question in the question box. I will try to get to it. Okay, I also see Young sending a donation. Thank you so much. So right now it's Ingrid, Nancy, and Young. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Okay, so Ingrid, please confirm that you are a Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, Virgo rising. Is this correct for you? Okay, Jungi 4908, I see you. Rennie, you would have to go to my bio and then scroll down and there's going to be payment links. And in the payment links, there's 3 options. There is PayPal, Zelle, no, not Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. Jungi, yes, you can send your information in the comments indeed. Okay, so focusing on Ingrid, but anyone else who wants to get on the list, I'm going to repeat it again. Just want to focus on her question right now. Okay, so guidance when it comes to love relationships and career purpose. So, okay. So when it comes to relationships, we tend to look at the 5th, 7th houses and Venus and Mars generally. And so in your chart, you're born with Virgo on the ascendant. So you project the energy of someone who is very hardworking, very perfectionist, very organized, very much keeping things under control. Your 7th house of relationships is Pisces. And I think Virgo risings generally tend to have this kind of strong tendency to idealize relationships and be very dreamy and very romantic and very almost at times maybe like a little bit naive in relationships, right? There's nothing wrong with that as long as you're kind of keeping your boundaries in check. The ruler of your house of relationships is Jupiter in Cancer. This is an exalted planet that rules your house of relationships. So thumbs up. really nice to have an exalted planet in charge of the house of relationships. Where things is maybe a little bit more complicated is the fact that there is a Jupiter Chiron conjunction. And so Jupiter Chiron conjunction does suggest that you have both the planet of good luck and the planet of the wound together. So when you get lucky when it comes to relationships, there might be also something that shows up in your life that you need to heal. And there might also be a tendency to maybe attract people that need healing, and like people who are wounded who can also be the biggest teachers for you. And this can show up in a couple of ways, right? There may be a sense that at some points of your life, you're very much attracting wounded people. And then at other points of your life, you're attracting people who have like been wounded and healed, and they're actually like helping you heal and grow. You're currently going through your Jupiter return. So I think all of these themes will be extra, extra strong. And it could be an extra benevolent time in terms of meeting someone. Ingrid, are you in a relationship presently? And Rennie, I did see your payment. You are on my list. You are currently number 4. So you can, the easiest way to ask your question, I would say send me an email at Anastasia period does period astrology at gmail.com and send your information and your question there. So it's like just there and I see it. Okay. Yeah. Ingrid, let me know. Are you in a relationship right now? Does this describe your romantic life at all? The ruler of the house of relationships for you is in the 11th house, which suggests that you're likely to meet someone at a large gathering. It could be meeting someone at a wedding, like at a friend's wedding, at a networking event, even on social media, which could be like online, right? Online dating. It's definitely quite like a positive situation for relationships, but I do think this Chiron suggests that there's like some types of beliefs that need to be healed, maybe even some beliefs that you've like inherited, maybe connected to family, maybe some like old wounds that relationships bring up and encourage you to address. You're saying I've been in a challenging relationship since 2023. I'd say we're separated right now. So 2023 makes a lot of sense because Saturn has gone into your 7th house of relationships in March 2023. And then it left between May and September 1st, 2025. And now between September 1st, 2025 and February 13th, 2026, it's back in Pisces for the very last time. So I think it's meant to clear whatever needs to be cleared, and it's like meant to reveal what doesn't serve you anymore. And so if relationships end right now, it is potentially because they're not meant to last. But I do think, there's definitely something potentially better might be coming for you because Jupiter is because it is your Jupiter return, and because Jupiter is exalted, and because Jupiter rules your 7th house. Like I would be curious to like, if we were to ever do a full size reading to sort of look at where and who might be showing up in your life and like how to maximize relationships that are already in your life for romantic potential, sort of, because I wonder if there's maybe someone in your life in a friendship category that can become more of a romantic partner in the future. And you're saying, yes, we met in February 2023. Okay, so that's as far as kind of like what I see in terms of you do have, you also have a strong Venus, which can be very loyal. She's conjunct Saturn, which is another indicator of like delays and maybe karmic lessons. Venus Saturn aspects in a chart sometimes suggest that growing up, the affection and love wasn't expressed freely, that there were almost like strings attached, or things were like more difficult in that regard. And so you're kind of learning how to date and what healthy relationships look like. And again, I think, if we were to do like a full size reading, we can talk about it more. But for the sake of time, I want to talk about the second part of your question, which was the kind of karmic purpose. And so you have your south node in Leo and you have your north node in Aquarius. And I do like to look at north node for karmic purpose. And interestingly enough, it sits in your sixth house of service. And it's in Aquarius, which very much suggests some kind of like serving humanity. The ruler is Saturn in the fifth. So I wonder if there is some type of sense that you're meant to be almost like a children's speech therapist. That's what's coming to me. Maybe it's like completely different from what you see yourself as. Um, but this is what I'm seeing for you. What do you do right now, Ingrid? And my email for those asking is Anastasia period does period astrology at gmail.com. So it's basically the same as my profile, Anastasia does astrology, but with dots in between words. Um, so yeah, so I think, to sum it up, Ingrid, professionally and in terms of karmic purpose, I think you're meant to, on one hand, you're meant to learn to take care of your own health and to set really strong boundaries and to prioritize yourself with North Node in the sixth. You're meant to learn to get organized and sort of structured and not prioritize maybe other people, because with South Node in the 12th, there may be this sort of tendency to get lost in the expectations of others and maybe wear certain masks based on how people perceive you. And also like escape into things that are less embodied. And so with North Node in the sixth, it's very much about taking care of you, but it's also, I feel like in Aquarius, it's always going to be about like learning to follow your own path and giving you know no fucks basically, and like focusing on doing things that feel authentically truthfully your own. And because the ruler is Saturn in the fifth, and fifth house has to do with creative energy and children and romance. And because your midheaven is ruled by Mercury in the third house, and midheaven has to do with career, that's why I'm thinking like there should be some kind of like being a therapist, being the person who uses your words. You have all the Scorpio energy in you, this kind of strong ability to A, deal with challenges and grow through them, and B, help others go through challenges and help others grow and transform. And so that's what I think. That's where I think your maybe purpose lies, doing things that are more humanity oriented. And Pluto just entered your sixth house, which is also going to be about that. And, interestingly enough, you are, as a Virgo rising, there are eclipses happening in your first house, which also suggests that you're in this place of like identity crisis right now. So it would be fun to, I guess, like talk in person and do a full-sized reading, because I think Virgo risings are going through a lot right now. But that's what I have for you presently, and I hope this answers the question. Okay, so Nancy, are you here? And new people who are watching, I am doing mini readings, donation based. Pay what you can. Suggested amount is 25. Um, the donation can be sent either by looking at the link in my bio and scrolling to payment links, or by, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a pinned comment. You can use that. And after you send the payment, I do ask your information, date, time, place of birth. You can put it in the comments. You can also email it to me at Anastasia period astrology at gmail.com and ask your question. Ideally, one question, so it's easier to prioritize. Okay, Nancy's here, but she says her internet is choppy. And the list right now, I have Nancy, Young, um, and Rennie. So 3 people on my list. And I can take some more people most likely. And yeah, Ingrid, I hope this was helpful. Okay, Ingrid says very helpful. I feel like there's so much to say, Ingrid, also just by looking at your chart because it's quite interesting with like all the Scorpio, Capricorn energy there. But I would recommend a full reading. And for that, Anastasia does astrology.com. Okay, Nancy, you're saying your internet is choppy, but even if it is, you can also watch you can watch the replay and just sort of go to 20-minute mark because I've been live for 20 minutes and that should be helpful. You know, this way it should have like less of an internet issue. And to new people who are joining me, welcome. I am live both on Instagram and on YouTube. So if it feels like I'm not looking at you directly, that might be because I'm looking at the second screen. But okay. So, Nancy. Uh, okay. Ingrid sounds great. Would be my honor to do your personal reading. Okay. Nancy said it's okay to share your chart, I think. Hi, Judy. Okay. So, and Nancy's question was connected to relationships. Let me refresh. Okay. So the question was, yeah, okay, basically about relationships and wondering um, about leaving the difficult relationship situation, possibly finding new love. Okay. So, Nancy, please let me know if this is correct in terms of you being Taurus Sun, Taurus Moon, Scorpio rising. Just would like to confirm. Okay. So you're saying you are. So look at this. This is this is like look at this train of planets in Taurus. So many, right? One, two, three, four, five, and Chiron. So you've got so many planets in Taurus. You are very, very Taurian and very Venusian, very like um relationship oriented, right? Like relationship, very diplomatic, very good at like building relationships, making relationships. You're saying, yes, I am. Hi, Sampada, Sam Canny. So okay, so what's interesting, you've got Uranus on the ascendant, right? So you have this powerful house of relationships with all these planets basically craving stability, including your chart ruler being in the house of relationships. So, like, you see yourself through others, you like understand yourself in conversation, in interaction, basically, like through exchange of opinions. Friendships, alliances, marriage, relationships, all of that shows up as really important to you, but with Uranus on the ascendant, there's also this sort of sense that you are on some level like meant to be more independent. Like I think who you are at the core, there's also this sense of like something in you is craving change, I think. And what's interesting is you're born with the moon opposite Uranus. And the moon opposite Uranus is a bit of a tricky combination because the moon really loves Taurus. It usually gives you a mother who's very giving and very sort of present and really good at taking care of your like physical needs. But there is this Uranus opposition. So it makes me wonder, like, was there like a lot of moves when you were younger, or were there some kind of like changes when you were younger? Something maybe like where a parent was on one hand very stable, but something was like um some kind of shakeups in your early life. And June, okay, you're saying you pronounce the J. That's good to know. Hi, Georgia. And so for people who are watching who would like a reading, these are donation based. Suggested amount is 25. You can send the donation either by looking at the link in my bio if you're watching from Instagram. I said suggested amount is 25, but it's pay what you can. Um Link is in the bio or link is in the pinned comment, and then after that you can put your information and your question in the comments. But okay, so Nancy, this is more sort of where you're coming from, and I think if you did experience some kind of shakeups in your early life, on one hand, it makes you someone who can adapt and sort of can transform. But of course, there is a ton of fixed energy in your chart, and so you may not like there's not a lot of mutable, right? Your chart is all fixed, cardinal, more fixed, and only Neptune is mutable. So I feel like you may feel like you're not so good with change. You may feel like adapting is like a little bit more difficult for you. But the good news is we have Uranus currently entering your eighth house, and it's entering Gemini, and it's going to be very, I think, like all about flexibility and adaptability. And it's going into your house of shared money and partners' money. And sometimes Uranus here can represent shifts in terms of how much money you have. And I know that's one of the concerns you have in terms of finances. Um, but we will have Uranus. You're saying, I'm afraid of change. Yeah, most of us are, right? But I think like when you have this much fixed energy in your chart, it shows up as like, yeah, it's going to be even more difficult potentially. But I do think Uranus wants you to change. I think it's kind of time because let me see. I'm just going to look at some dates because I think Uranus is very much currently on top of your it is on top of your moon, or it has conjoined your moon and it's going to come back, which is a sign of transformation. And it also opposes your natal Uranus. So it's like you're currently in your Uranus opposition, which is something that happens in your mid 40s. And it's one of the known like midlife crisis type of transits that we all have to deal with at some point. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly look at some dates for you. So bear with me. And the Uranus opposition is interesting, right? Because you're born with Uranus and Scorpio. And so, on some level, you are someone who's used to things being like intense. You're used to intensity. You almost feel like, like increased like passions and maybe like a little bit of drama on some level is normal. But the fact that Uranus is right now in Taurus, it's almost like asking you to shake things up to create more stability. Or it's like offering you a perspective shift that things don't need to be this uncomfortable. That, like, if you open yourself up to change and you dive into some unpredictable type of like energy and situation, you can actually find something like more stable in it. It's almost like this energy of like, don't be afraid of the difficult energy because something better is likely to be right around the corner. And so if I were to estimate when you might maybe take a leap and when your marriage might, go through its final stages, that's, I think. So, okay. So, first of all, what was happening in your relationship in late May, early June? The first time Uranus conjoined your moon and opposed your natal Uranus. Was anything important happening in late May, early June? And on some level, too, you've had Uranus in your seventh house of relationships. You're saying nothing. But when did things start getting more complicated? Because Uranus has been in Taurus since like 2017, I think. or maybe 18. Let me back it up. So it's been affecting your relationship since 2018. Maybe making things feel less stable. And it's almost done. Boring since 2022, 2023. Oh, like that's when issues started happening? Well, that's potentially when it began aspecting your Venus. Yeah, 2022, 2023, it was conjoining your Chiron and then aspecting your Venus. And then because so Uranus is right now in this chart, it's in just a second. I don't think it's updating for me. Is it? Oh, okay. So, one sec. One second. Okay, there it is. So right now it's in Gemini, and it went into Gemini on July 7th. On November 7th, it's going to return to Taurus, your house of relationships, for the last time. So between November 7th and April next year, there will be some final changes happening. And I would still ask you to look back at May, June, maybe even in a sense of like, were there any thoughts that you were having back then about making a change, making a break? Like, maybe something started kind of growing, some maybe frustration started growing in your life, in your mind. There are two more important periods in terms of relationships and potential transformations and breakthroughs or breakdowns. And that is December 2025. And then we have March 2026. And so those can bring unexpected emotional shifts and opportunities to break away from old patterns. And it doesn't need to be the end of a relationship if you don't want the relationship to end. But there is an opportunity to like explore who you are and what you want at that time. Oh, okay. So you're saying in June you were planning to leave. So whatever was happening in June is going to get even more aggravated in December and then March next year. And so if I had to guess when you might be getting out of a marriage or, speaking your truth and ending things or transforming things somehow, it might be December or March. Um and then you were wondering about meeting a new person. And so but like just to sum up, I think you shouldn't be afraid. I think there is this sort of opportunity right now to actually take a leap and to trust, because you have a very strong ruler of the house of relationships. You have Venus in her domicile in the house of relationships, and she's more than capable to provide a healthy and strong partnership for you. There's a lot of other planets in your seventh house, and it's not always going to be the smoothest ride with every single relationship, but that's not a reason to settle for something that doesn't make you happy. Okay, and I want to look at something else in terms of your progress chart, because you're wondering about the new relationship, and so I want to see if there is anything. And like to estimate sort of a new relationship, again, this will be something that I would recommend booking a full-size reading with me if you ever wanted to. Anastasia.astrology.com. You can even book a relationship reading, and we can look at your relationship with your husband and talk about like the future, because it's something that is more involved in terms of looking things up. But okay, one second. I'm going to look at your progress chart for some timing energies to see what's happening right now. Okay. Um what is happening in the progress chart? Well, there is the Sun in the house of relationships and Mars is in the house of relationships on the progress chart. So also I think there is this emphasis right now on learning how to express your desires and your wants and assert yourself better. Okay, Nancy says, I no longer want to settle. I sometimes just want to give up on love. I don't think you should give up, but I think if love and relationships get difficult, it's always a good idea to maybe take a step back and focus on giving yourself what you need and like reconnecting with yourself. And then, almost like trusting that the right relationship is going to come to you when you're ready. I feel like, again, I sort of think your chart can bring you a happy relationship, but there are a lot of other types of energies that you should work through, and maybe, yeah, like work on sort of attending to. I didn't realize I have so many things on my on the back of my chair. But I hope this was helpful, Nancy. Like for more, for sort of more precise, like specific things, if you wanted to keep talking, I do recommend full size reading. Okay. So we have June. Am I saying this right? June correctly? Um, if I'm not, forgive me, but I know that I now supposed to say J in there. Sorry if we're not pronouncing it earlier. You're welcome, Nancy. Okay, June, are you here? And so right now it's June and it's Rennie. And I still have spots on my list. So for people who want to get a reading, these are donation based. Suggested amount is 25. Payment links are either in the bio or in the pinned comment if you're watching on YouTube. And we still have space. So June, let me know if you're here. Rennie, let me know if you are here. I can also do your chart next, depending on which one of you is here first. But yeah, right now I have two people on my list, and if anybody else wants to jump on, definitely can take you. Oh, I see Angela. Okay, so Angela will be the third person on the list. Okay, Rennie's here, so I can do Rennie and then maybe June. Okay, so let's see. And just a second, I'm going to update my list with Angela. Okay, Angela, I did see your payment. I'm adding you to my list. And I will need your information. If you want to email it to me at Anastasia astrology@gmail.com, that would be great. Okay, I'm going to do Rani's reading next, but June, you're also on my list. Oh, right, Rani, we're both September 15th. I forgot that. How exciting. Okay. Okay, Rani. So I'm going to pull up your chart. I am not going to share it because I can't do it on Instagram, and I'm not going to share it on YouTube because you are watching me on Instagram. So why would I do that anyways? Okay. So putting your information in. By the way, Rani, did you end up getting the book that I recommended or not yet? Okay, you ordered it but haven't started reading. Yeah, if you need more specific sort of, things about that book, just let me know and I can tell you. Okay, Rennie, are you a Libra? So Virgo sun, Capricorn moon, Libra rising. Is that correct? And so Jung and Angela are also on my list. And Rennie says, "It's on my reading list. I'm joining your class next year for sure." I'm excited. It's a good one. It's definitely I feel like most people want to learn astrology to be able to predict the future, so I see why you'd be so excited about it. And to people who don't know, I am teaching a predictive astrology course designed to help you forecast the future with the use of annual perfection, solar returns, and transits. It begins in March 2026, and you can join on my website. Okay, June, there you are. I'm going to do Rennie's reading and then yours and then Angela. So please be patient with me. Okay. So, Rennie, you said that Virgo, Sun, Capricorn, Moon, Libra rising is correct. And let me see your question. I'm having a challenging time in my career, frankly, for the first time, looking for a new job slash a slight elevation from what I'm currently doing. Also, my current gig will end shortly. So want to know, when will I land my new job? How is it looking? Will I get what I'm looking for? Okay. So let me see. I'm going to look at your transits as well. So, what's happening right now is Jupiter is the planet of growth, and it is currently in your 10th house of career and public life. And I think maybe it's the reason why you're feeling like there's something bigger and better for you. And a question for you would be, what was happening in your professional life in 2013, 2014? Was there also maybe some kind of change even for 2015, right? Like, what was going on? Were you feeling, like, ready for some kind of change? So Jupiter is here until June 9th, 2026, and Jupiter is a blessing, right? It's very much encouraging you to explore and to take risks and to grow. And Jupiter in Cancer is all about slow growth, right? It's like take your time and make sure you're happy with what you're doing. Generally, in your charts, your 10th house is Cancer, so you're meant to do a pretty like nurturing career. There is, me as a Libra rising, you as a Libra rising, we have our career houses, our work, money houses, they're water signs. So there is this sense of like nurturing and caring career or desire to nurture and care for others, even if it's being a librarian, right? If you're a librarian, you're caring for books and you're sort of dedicating time and attention to fragile things. So there's very much this like intuitive ability to understand things that are fragile. And you're also born with Pluto on the ascendant, which is going to suggest that you're someone who goes through like death and rebirth, and so maybe you're like in this period. And again, I would look back at 2013, 14, 15 to see like what was stirring in your life at that time. Your midheaven is in Leo, which midheaven being in your 11th house suggests that the way you get to your ideal career is through social media, is through having a network, is through working with a lot of people, maybe dealing with the public somehow. So it can also suggest like being an astrologer, working through social media, working in sales where you deal with like large organizations, things like that. And you also have Venus and Mars in your 11th house as the ruler, and the ruler of the midheaven is the sun in the 12th house. So I wonder if your love for astrology is something that could be your future career path. I mean, maybe you just want to learn it for yourself, but so you're saying yes, in 2013, I was first time let go from a job and then landed one of the best elevation I had till 2015 that propelled my career. Okay. So that's an interesting sign, right? Because astrology moves in 12-year cycles. And so we're very much in this 12-year, in the repeat of that cycle. It's not going to be exactly the same. In 2013, 2014, 15, you were also going through your Saturn return, which would have been potentially extra intense and maybe more traumatic, like you lost the job, right? That's like a very Saturn return thing. It will kick you out from the job you don't want or don't need. But you did ask when you might land the job of your dreams. And so my thinking would be June 2026 or July 2026, because Jupiter is going to enter Leo and pretty much conjoin your midheaven, which is the angle of career placed in your house of community, right around that time. And so, not that you should just sit and wait, right? Not at all. But there is this now is a good time to, I think, like work on yourself and ask yourself what is important to you, what do you want to achieve, what is of value to you. And so it's going to conjoin your midheaven in very early July, and that is really exciting. And of course, you can start feeling it in late June, early July, but I think that might be when, and it will be potentially something similar to the 2013, 14, 15, right? So was did you find work in 2015? Was it through the people you know? Was there some kind of connection to like your network, or like what was were there other people involved? Because Jupiter going into Leo on June 30, 2026 is going in your house of social media, community, networks, other people, suggesting that that's where a lot of blessings lie. And that's where your professional growth can be coming from. So, did the 2015, um, you're saying, yes, all my jobs have been through my network. So, it could be a good time to like ask yourself, who do you know? Who do you know that knows that can help you grow your career? Um, and yeah, I think potentially like this period from July 2026 until July 2027 can be very empowering professionally, because it's also going to be it's a really good time to start a social media page. It's a really good time to go out to networking events, to send emails to people you know, to go to like parties and talk to people about your career goals. That entire year will be good. You're saying I have been, but it's been very challenging in the last 2 months. Yeah, the last 2 months with, like, the eclipse season haven't been the best, but it's starting to open up. We're starting to come out. We're starting to come out into the light. So that's what I think, Rennie. I hope this is helpful, and I'm excited for you to join my course. I'm super excited. And if you ever want, like, if you have more questions, you want me to read your chart, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. Okay, so June and Angela are next on the list. For people who want to join the list, you can send your donation. Suggested amount is 25, but pay whatever you're comfortable with. You can pay more if you're so generous. And after that, I will need your birthday information, date, time, and place. You can put it in the comments or email me at anastasia.des.astrology@gmail.com and ask your question. Ideally, one or two, so it's easier to focus on in the short time we have here. Okay, so June and Angela. And I'm glad, Rennie, that you feel the same about being excited about the class. Okay, so June, you're here, right? I think. June, if you're here, is it okay to share your information, or would you rather it be kept private? Also, happy Venus in Libra, everyone. Venus has just entered Libra, so we can begin celebrating. Today, a little bit rough because it opposes Neptune. So, feeling insecure, frustrated, tired, uninspired is quite likely, but it will get better. Okay, while I'm waiting for June, Angela, I feel like June keeps like popping in and out, and we keep postponing. But June, let me know. Angela, if you're here, do let me know as well. Okay, Angela is here. Phoenix Oceans. Okay, Phoenix, I see your donation. Thank you. Adding you to my list. 1 second. And I can still take some people if you're interested. Okay, Angela, Jung, and Phoenix. So, Jung, I am not sure if you're still with us, but I can definitely do Angela's reading. And then, Jung, just stick around so I can get to you as well. Ingrid says, I was burning your Venus and Taurus candle earlier today. It's a good one and it really works for you because of your Capricorn Venus. I like that. And yeah, I don't know if I have any like exalted Venus anymore, but that would be like even better because it's in Pisces and that's your seventh house. But I may be all out of them, or maybe there's one still left. But Venus and Taurus is a great one. Okay, Angela, is it okay to show your information on my screen, or would you rather I keep it private? Okay, you're saying it's fine. So let's take a look at what's happening with your career. So I'm just going to put your information in. Oh, a fellow 1987. Woo! The best year. Well, in my very biased opinion. Okay, Angela, I got Pisces, Sun, Aquarius, Moon, Aquarius rising for you. Please tell me if this is correct. And I am going to share my screen. So we're looking at the present energy and transits. Okay, you're saying correct. Pisces, Sun, Aquarius, Moon, Aquarius rising. So your question is, would like to know what's up with my career. I took what I thought would be my forever job last year, but it's not been a good experience at all. I feel like the last few years I've had issues finding the right fit. Currently on the job hunt again, unexpectedly. Would love some guidance. Okay, June, just stick around. I'll do you right after Angela. I'll look at your chart right after her, and we can definitely just don't go anywhere because I'm calling for you and I will need you to be here. And there might be delay also a little bit, I wonder. Okay, so Angela, talking about some professional frustration. So let me see. You're born with midheaven in Scorpio, ruled by Mars in Taurus. Okay, so your midheaven represents career. It is the highest point in the sky at which the sun culminates. And so just like for the sun, this is the point of highest visibility, right? It's seen from the most places on the planet when it's at the midheaven. Same is for individual. Midheaven represents um the highest point of like recognition for the person. So for you it's in Scorpio, which will suggest that your career requires like you're seeking work that is both stable but also very stimulating, something where you can dig deeply, learn a lot of things potentially, and maybe grow and transform a lot. Pluto in the 10th will suggest, I think Pluto in the 10th will always suggest that you're more likely to go through professional transformations. And you're also, Pluto will suggest that there's like strong intensity and maybe some secrets in the professional realm, and maybe people you work with, there could be power struggles. There could be these sort of like, you know, on one hand, I think it says that you need a job that is like that is really, really important to you and intense and you feel passionate about. And so if you don't express this intensity that you feel in your desire for like power, Pluto in the 10th will be a little bit of like, I want power behind the throne. I'm not necessarily want to be like the most visible person, but I want to have influence and some control in my career. But basically, if you don't acknowledge this inner desire for like power, it may show up in other people. Like other people might put you in positions and situations in which you're like, you feel uncomfortable and you're sort of, like things can be difficult through others, but I think it might almost be like a projection of what you're not expressing. Angela sounds, yes, it all sounds like me. Jung, I'm not skipping you on purpose. I keep calling you and you're not responding, but I think it's the delay. I'm definitely going to do your reading next because I'll just answer it and hopefully you can like watch it later as well. Um okay. So yeah, so Angela, just like it's important I think here to be aware of your desires. What is complicated is the fact that the ruler of your house of career is Mars and it's in Taurus, and Mars in Taurus is considered to be in its detriment. And what this means is you may encounter people at work who somehow maybe even remind you of your parents, like bosses who are maybe, Mars in the fourth may suggest that like when you were growing up, there was some kind of frustrations in the home, some type of like passive aggressive behavior, conflicts that were not fully resolved, a little bit of like bullying going on, or like Mars and Taurus can be very much this like conflict avoidant, but like not knowing how to fight, and so it may show up in people that you work with, and it may be similar to what was happening in your life when you were a kid. I don't know if this resonates. Do let me know. But Mars struggles in Taurus, and so Mars ruling the house of career might suggest that like you deal with situations that have this like passive aggressive energy. You're maybe dealing with people who don't know how to be assertive, and so they express their assertiveness in unhealthy ways. Um, you're saying yes, it does resonate, especially at my current workplace. So I would suggest working with Mars. What I like is that you have this beautiful, healthy Jupiter in Pisces in a trine to your midheaven. So I think your wisdom and your optimism can help you get through it. And sort of you have enough wisdom to like overcome whatever frustrations and difficulties that life throws at you. And Jupiter in the second can also be quite beneficial for your finances. But you're saying, yes, I am describing your team. How are you, Angela, with conflict? How are you with dealing with like being frustrated? Are you good or can you get better? Because I would suggest working on remediating. And there are a couple of ways you can work on Mars, and it will start with like working on yourself and acknowledging your own maybe a tendency to avoid conflict. Hi Philip. Happy Monday to you too. Angela says over the years I've gotten better. I'm more mature now. Okay, so that's good. That's good. So like the more sort of you work on yourself, better it's going to be in relation in your career sector. But I would still recommend some maybe like remediation. You're saying I've had to rehearse what to say. June, I can see your message now. Yes. So, okay. So, Angela, for you, I would recommend working on Mars. And the way you work on Mars is by connecting with your inner warrior. And so the day of Mars is Tuesday. So every Tuesday, you can have a ritual. And I would again recommend booking a reading so we can talk about it in more depth. But the very simple sort of couple of things you can do is every Tuesday exercising where you lift weights or you work with metals or you take on some kind of martial arts class because that will teach you how to fight in a structured way. And I would highly recommend my Mars Kazemi candle for you because that falls in your 10th house of career. It's Mars and Scorpio. So it's very strategic, very good at going after what he or she wants. And it could be really beneficial for like sort of expressing your drive and your courage and also improving relationships at work. And I do think Jupiter in Cancer will help you and there might be some sort of positive developments when Jupiter trines your midheaven, which will likely be next May. I'm looking it up. So it's next May, June is when you may see some happy professional developments. Okay, I'm glad, um, this was helpful. Yeah, so that's kind of when I'm thinking that perhaps you find a job that you feel happy at and stable at. And again, for like more detailed, in-depth analysis, I would ask you to book a reading so we can analyze it with more, you know, attention and more sort of precision. But I hope this was helpful. Sounds like it was. So right now on my list, I have June, which I'm going to do right now, her question, and Phoenix. And so let me put June says, glad you can see my message. I keep getting skipped. Okay. June, is it okay to share your information or would you like it to be private? I'm going to put it in for now. Okay. See, and it seems like we're all updated and we can see each other and hear each other. So for new people who are joining, I am doing mini readings, answering your questions. I do ask for a donation. It is pay what you can. Suggested amount is 25. The donation can be sent through the links in my bio or through the pinned comments if you're watching on YouTube. And after that, you can share your birthday information, date, time, and place, and your question either in the comments or via email at Anastasia period does period astrology@gmail.com. Okay, so I have 2 people on my list right now. And if there are other people who want to join, June, I will need the city you were born in. You sent me the country. You sent the country, but I do need the city as well. I just saw that. And Phoenix, did you send me your information as well? If you haven't, could you email me at Anastasia period does period astrology@gmail.com? Allegria, you're saying you follow on Instagram, you don't know how it works. So if you click on my name, there will be a link in my on my page. It's going to be Linktree. So you will have to scroll a little bit and there's going to be a section there that says payment links. And once you click on it, there are 3 options that you can use to send the donation. Okay. Thank you, June. I see. I got it. Okay. And I got Capricorn Sun, Aquarius Moon, Pisces Rising for you. Please let me know if that is correct. You're welcome, Allegria. Okay, June. Okay, you're saying it's correct. So I'm gonna share your chart. Okay, so your question is, will I have a good financial outcome for an ongoing lawsuit that started back in October 2023? Also, when will I find my life partner? So let's see. Okay, so the good financial outcome for a lawsuit. So the ruler of your house of money and your house of legal matters is Mars. It is in Libra. And Mars in Libra is similar to Mars in Taurus. It is considered to be in a weaker position because Libra is the sign of peace and Mars is the warrior. And so sometimes it's harder for one to express anger and frustration and fight for their beliefs when they have Mars in a Venusian sign, because there might be this sort of tendency to either express frustration in like passive aggressive ways or not express it until it gets built up and sort of explodes. And so, since Mars rules your house of money and it rules your house of legal matters, it's tricky. It's not necessarily looking like immediately will you get a positive financial outcome. It's hard to tell. It's like I what is positive here is the fact that you have Jupiter in the house of legal matters. So you maybe won't lose, but I wouldn't say you're gonna get a lot out of it. That is not necessarily like with your chart, I would potentially suggest that you try to avoid legal battles and like try not to get involved and not to sort of make risky financial decisions. That being said, what was happening with your finances? And would have been quite young back then, but Saturn is about to enter your second house of money, which is another sign of money not being particularly abundant for one reason or another. Sometimes Saturn in the second just suggests that you're about to make a really big purchase and you're spending money on something, and that's why you don't have as much of it to spend. But it kind of like it's not. Again, I'm sort of like, it's difficult to be like 100% like there's not going to be a good outcome, but it looks like maybe you're going to break even, but you're not necessarily going to get a ton of money out of it. And so I was going to ask you what was happening in your finances and in general in your life the last time Saturn was in Aries, and that would have been back in 96 into 99. So you would have been like 15 until 18, maybe even younger, right? Because you're basically born in 82 almost. Um, so like 14, 18, what was happening? 14, 17, what was happening in your life? Were there any maybe like financial restrictions? And then you asked, when will I find my life partner? And so this is another one where it's like we have to look at multiple things in order to be really specific. But there is currently a lot of important energy happening in your house of identity and the house of relationships. So you are very much in this powerful period right now that could be beneficial when it comes to relationships, especially around eclipses. So we started having eclipses in Pisces and Virgo last September. And we've had one in September, it would have been Pisces. And then in March, we had the first eclipse in Virgo. And then we had another one in September this year. And there's going to be another Virgo eclipse next year. Let me tell you when. But it is, long story short, it is a hot period right now in terms of dating for you and in terms of looking for partners that can be like life long-term partners. So March next year, I think, is quite beneficial. And let me see if we have another one. There may be another Virgo eclipse. So March and then one more in February 2027. So there's still like 2 years of a really major window of opportunity during which new relationships are quite likely and possible. But with finances, like I would say be more careful and kind of try to maybe manage your finances more carefully because that portion of your life looks a little bit more complicated. And if you wanted to work with it, again, there is sort of ways in which you can work on this planet. And through being more attuned to it, you can increase your chances of a positive financial outcome. And so it would be similar to what I was telling Angela. Tuesday, the day of Mars, doing some kind of physical exercise that is very martial, that involves like fencing or martial arts or lifting heavy weights, right? I would also recommend my Mars Kazemi candle to you because that is Mars in Scorpio, that is Mars in the house of legal matters. And it's a very strategic, clear ninja type energy, which can help with legal battles. And I would also recommend that you maybe work with this martial energy within you by volunteering or donating for some kind of charity that involves like veterans, people who are martial figures, like people who have been in the war or worked with medals, like people who maybe somehow got like injured, even women who dealt with some kind of violence, anything like that could be great. You're welcome, June. I hope this helps. And yeah, do reflect on what was happening in your life back in 96, 99, especially financially. And if things were good financially, then that's lovely because maybe things will be good. I'm just like from seeing Saturn about to go into your second house of money, it like doesn't read as particularly abundant time. It tends to be a period in which you have to be more discerning about finances. You're welcome. I am glad this was helpful. Okay, so I think as of right now I have one person left. And if that's it, we're just going to wrap up after one more reading. But if I have other people who want to get on the list, I do ask for a donation. Suggested amount is 25. You can pay more if you feel comfortable. If you can afford less, that's okay too. But you can pay either by clicking on the link in my bio on Instagram or using the pinned comment on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. And then I will need your date, time, place of birth, and your question. Okay. So I see Phoenix Oceans 33. I see your email. Is it okay to share your name and your information? Or would you prefer to stay Phoenix and have your information hidden? Okay. Yes, as in it's okay. Okay. So, Sarah, what time is it in the UK right now? If you are currently in the UK, maybe you're not. And for people who are watching, I am also teaching astrology. I'm going to teach a predictive astrology course starting in March 2026. Join me to learn to forecast the future and use transits, annual perfections, solar returns in order to read cycles and understand what's coming up for you. Okay, Sarah, look at that beautiful Pisces Venus. Venus and Pisces. So sweet. Okay, so oh, it's 11:14 over there. Do you write poetry, Sarah? Or do you write songs ever with Venus and Pisces? Okay, so let me pull up the transits just in case we need those as well. Hi, Samantha. Hi, people who are watching. I am live both on YouTube and on Instagram, so it feels like if it feels like I'm not looking at you, that's because I'm looking at my other screen. Just FYI. But I am doing mini readings, and I have spots on my list. If you'd like a reading, I ask for a donation. Suggested amount is 25, and you can either pay at the link in my bio on Instagram or use the pinned comment or the description if you are on YouTube. Sarah says, I love love. Yeah, Pisces Venus tends to be that way, like love, 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 heartbreak, love all stages of love, love seeing love, love, thinking about love. It's an exalted placement for a reason. There is just sort of a lot of upliftment around that. Okay. Javier, you're asking about a personal question. So I am doing donation-based readings. If you'd like to ask a question, I do ask for a donation. Suggested amount is 25, and there is a payment link in the description or in the link in my bio if you're watching on Instagram. Okay, Sarah. So I'm going to share my screen. And please confirm that this is correct for you. Pisces Sun, Cancer Moon, Aries Rising. Sparkle Mint saying I tried to make a payment. Did it not work? How dare they not work? There should be 3 links on there: Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. So hopefully one of them works. Okay, Sarah is saying nodal return. Yeah, nodal return is a big deal. Okay, so your question is, you're wondering about love, likely time to meet the person. Where could it be someone from the past returning? I'm feeling in a great place right now about work, started my own business. Congratulations. That's awesome. Anything significant to know? Like a Pisces rising, you truly, not a Pisces rising, Pisces Mercury. You were like, this is the question. Very like all the questions. I feel like Pisces risings tend to be very like many questions, many questions, very Jupiterian. Um, okay, Sparkle Mint saying I did PayPal. I do see it, I think. Jamie, right? I see you on PayPal. It worked. Okay, Sarah. So let's do love, right? I do ask sort of to narrow it down, so as much as you can. But we can probably take a look at 2 things. And if you ever want like a full-size reading, I do recommend booking a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. So, you are an Aries rising ruled by Mars in Gemini in the 3rd house. Your relationship house is Libra ruled by Venus in the 12th house. So, the ruler of your house of relationships is an exalted Venus, which is quite positive for relationships, right? An empowered Venus. She's in the 12th house. With the 12th house, you have to be careful of the tendency to associate love with drama, associate love with loss and strife and confusion. And sometimes relationships can sort of create this sense of like uncertainty and confusion and almost like force you to sit with your feelings and understand yourself, right? They can put you in this more spiritual place. Where you might meet the person is most likely in the 12th house type of situation. So, few ways, right? 12th house is the place of isolation. and that sometimes represents foreign lands and foreign people. So it could mean meeting someone in a place of isolation, which could be a faraway land, so they could be foreign. It could be like a yoga ashram or a spiritual place you go to. It could be a mental institution for sure. Like if if you ever like feel stressed and you go to a place where all you do is like do yoga all day or some kind of like it could also suggest like meeting someone in hospitals, prisons, and mental asylums. So, of course, it's not going to be the case for everyone, but there is this sense like of meeting someone in a spiritual place and in a place where you are almost like forced to be on your own a lot. But definitely someone foreign, someone poetic, someone creative, right? With Venus here. I know someone who's an Aries rising with Venus and the Sun in Pisces, and she met her husband in a different country from the country that she was born in. Do you tend to gravitate, Sarah, towards like foreign people? Is that something that you notice? To answer your question, could it be someone from the past returning? That one is hard to say. If you have some unresolved relationships, maybe. I don't necessarily see signs of it being someone from the past returning. Like, I think if you had Venus retrograde, then that would be more of a sign of it being someone from your past. Not necessarily. But if the relationship, if it's something that hasn't fully been resolved, then maybe. Likely time to meet him. So the fact that you are so let me see. You're 36, right? You're 36. So you're currently in the first house year, but it is your nodal return. And there are eclipses in Pisces, which can be activating your Venus, which could suggest that eclipses are quite important. Um, Let me see other things. So Libra. Okay. I do like that Venus is about to go in your seventh house for the next few weeks. Well, she actually is there already. She just went into Libra and she's going to be there from October 13th until November 6th. So this is potentially quite a powerful time to go out and date. But the next year in the period until July 2026 could definitely be beneficial, I think, for relationships. And the same kind of thing, I would urge you to book a reading so we can look at like specific dates and transits to see how the energy might be unraveling. Joanne, I do see you. I will add you to my list. Thank you for the donation. Okay, I'm just going to update things real fast. Bear with me. Oh, and also, one second. Jamie. Jamie and then Joanne. Okay. So. Okay. Yeah, Sarah, having Venus in Libra is absolutely a positive time. And okay. And let's see. So, yes, you started your own business. That's exciting. Hi, Karen. Am I saying your name correctly this time? Karen? I feel like I messed it up the last time. I'm sorry if I'm messing it up again. I will appreciate corrections in that regard. Happy Venus return for a Venus and Libra person. Okay, so real quick, Sarah, you're asking about your business. Jupiter is currently um, in your fourth house. It's opposing your 10th house. So the first 36 also is an important year for identity and for starting new things. So I think in that regard, you're probably in a good place to start new things. And what else? Yeah, and like Jupiter being in the sign of your moon, I think is also quite like a lovely time to start new endeavors. So I hope this helps, Sarah. Right now, I have Jamie and Joanne on the list. I might take one more person and then wrap it up. So if you wanted to get on the list, please do. Otherwise, I will close the list for today because my goal was to be online for 2 hours at most, and we are 1 hour and a half away. You're welcome, Sarah. Okay, Jamie. West Covina. It's like it's the crazy ex-girlfriend city, right? She was like in West Covina, California, I think. I don't know if you know the reference. But there's a song about West Covina, California. Okay, Jamie. Okay, Jamie, putting your info in. Rennie is asking, will I be able to access the recording? Sure, I'll save it and you can check it out later. You should be able to do that. And also it's on YouTube, Rennie. So if you ever wanted to also like find it later, just mark October 13th for yourself and you can like go on YouTube and find it on there as well. Okay, so Jamie, sorry, back to you. March 2nd, 69. Have you received the planner yet, Jamie? Not yet? For anyone who is wondering, my planner is being shipped right now. So if you guys want to get your 2026 planner, check out my website for that. It is a treasure trove of insights and ritual suggestions and all the great things. So also link in my bio. Okay. So West Covina, 10:02 p.m. Okay, Jamie, Pisces, Sun, Virgo, Moon, Scorpio rising. Is that correct? Okay, Nashira, I see your donation, and I think I'm gonna officially close my list at this point. Okay. Hi, Bhavana. Just gonna update that the list is closed on here as well. Okay. So thank you guys. So right now it is Jamie, Joanne, and Nashira. And then we are wrapping up for the day. Okay, Jamie. So, Jamie, you're saying it is correct in terms of Pisces, Sun, Virgo, Moon, Scorpio rising. Let me see your question. Wondering a good time to start a business. What is your time frame, Jamie? Are you thinking like really close? Just curious in terms of what to look at. Could be helpful for me to know how far away you're thinking and like what is realistic, right? Because sometimes people can start their business tomorrow or they need like 4 months to prepare. So it will be useful for me to know. You're thinking real soon. Okay. So let's see. So in a natal chart, we have when we're thinking of business, we sort of look at the seventh house. We can look at the 10th house as the house of career. Seventh house is the house of like business and contracts and agreements and partnerships. And also third house as the domain of like your schedule and everyday sort of interactions and business matters as well. So, what's happening right now is Jupiter is in your ninth house and it is squaring your Venus and your Saturn, which is potentially a sign that maybe it's like there may be a lot of things going on with Jupiter in square to your Venus and Saturn, and they might feel exciting. But I would urge you um, that you sort of take things slow, perhaps, and not rush into things. It's okay to work on building sort of your business and maybe yeah, maybe not rushing into it. But if you are thinking of starting something really soon, there are some positive transits at the end of the month that can be really good at and beneficial, and specifically October 28th, I think. So even before that, so it starts Mars begins to trine Jupiter, and Mars is in Scorpio, which is also giving you it's giving you right now this kind of strength and courage and ability to initiate things and to take this kind of positive action. But I would wait until after October 21st if we're talking about this month, because we have the new moon on October 21st, so definitely, wait a little bit. And then my favorite days this month will likely be um October 24th. And that's you already have the Mars in a grand water trine. Mars is in your house of identity, encouraging you to take action. It trines Saturn in your fifth house, which is all about strategic expression of creative energy. And it trines Jupiter in your ninth house, which can also help with publishing, presenting your work. Um, if the business has to do with travel, education, writing, publishing, some kind of influencing of other people, or like yeah, working with children, maybe that could be great. So 24th is good, 25th is good, even potentially 26th, 27th, 28th, as the moon is in your second house of money and it's in your third house of um yeah, late October could be great, I think. Bhavana says, I can see you chose the gray t-shirt for YouTube and not the rose. What do you mean the rose? Was I supposed to do the rose? I can't remember half the time which ones I said in my promo. I thought I had the gray one in the thumbnail, but maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, I think I had the gray one in the thing I did. You're welcome, Jamie. And also, like if you were, let's say, if you were to wait, or maybe you start your business now, um, I can see next year from July being a really kind of positive period for your career, because on June 30, 2026, Jupiter is going to enter your 10th house of career, public life, status, and reputation. And it's going to give you a really big boost. And it's going to be trining Mars in your second house of money. And it's going to be trining all of your placements in Aries in your sixth house. So it could be like right now could be a good time to sort of grow things slowly, right? And work on maybe initiating things. Do you mind sharing what type of field your business is going to be in? Kieran, hi Kieran. um, I am going live on YouTube and on Instagram, so just FYI, I'm talking to people everywhere. Um, yeah, Jamie, let me know. Okay, Etsy bags. So that's pretty creative. That's pretty good for like slow expression. Um, but yeah, so what I'm saying, Jamie, just sort of like last thing to bring my thoughts full circle. Jupiter goes into your 10th house of career, and this will apply to pretty much all Scorpio risings on June 30th, 2026. And then it's going to trine your Mars in Sagittarius in July, early July 2026. And then it's going to conjoin your midheaven, which is the angle of career in August, mid August 2026. So by summer next year, that's when things can start to sort of go full speed. So take care of the business now, start it, maybe take care of all the logistics, right? And then after that, by the time like the summer of 2026 rolls around, that might be the time when you're like seeing things go kind of, full speed and things like that. And yes, thank you, Bhavana. Bhavana says, we wish you lots of success for your business, Jamie. We definitely do. Lots and lots of success. And it is a pretty good time to start, especially if you, like I said, just make sure that you wait until after the new moon and before the full moon, because when you're starting things that you want to grow, you don't want to start them on the waning moon. You always want to do it between the new moon and the full moon and not between the full moon and the new moon. You're welcome, Jamie. And she knows is asking, what does list close mean? It means I'm no longer taking any new people. I am just wrapping up with people on my list right now, which is Joanne and Nashira. Joanne, are you here, Joanne? Judy, I'm glad you got the reception. I'm not taking any new people at this point, so I will do another live next Monday. So if you wanted to join me then, you can always do that. Today has been a lot of fun, so thank you guys for participating. Okay, Joanne. Okay, Joanne is here. Would you mind sharing your date, time, and place of birth? Oh, there you are. Awesome. So good. So fast. Okay, Joanne, just give me a second to put it in. And for people who are watching who want a full-sized reading, if you want to talk to me, if you want to hear the secrets of your soul that I see and scan, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Okay, Joanne. Oh, okay. Sorry, never mind. And you wrote your question already, right, Joanne? I think it's in the PayPal, maybe. Okay. So please confirm that this is correct for you. Taurus Sun, Sagittarius Moon, Libra Rising. And the question was, hi Anastasia, just getting an idea of when, if a new job, more work coming my way. Also curious about financially restructuring my mortgage expenses, hiring attorney to help with this. Any idea of the themes of how the rest of this year will play out? What themes highlighted? Okay, that is a few things. I will try to see what I can answer in that regard. So, okay, so let's see. when a new job, more work may be coming your way, and financially restructuring mortgage and expenses. So, mortgage and expenses is interesting, right? Because Uranus, the planet of revolution and shakeups and change and unpredictability, has been in your eighth house of mortgage and investments and spending money all the way since 2018. And it just left on July 7th and is going to return on November 7th for the final November, December, January, February, March, for the final like 5 or 6 months. And so I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing like risky things between November 7th and April 20th, I believe. Let me give you the exact day. April 25th. So November 7th, April 25th is potentially not the best time to make sort of financial investments. That being said, if you wanted to do it before, if you wanted to take like financial action before that, the end of October is looking quite lovely. So after October 21st, when we get the new moon in Libra, at the end of the month between like 24th and 30th of October, 31st even, we have Mars in your second house of money forming a trine with Jupiter in the house of career and Saturn in the house of work. So that could be both beneficial for professional matters and for financial matters at the end of this month. And I think maybe that is something where like you see positive developments in terms of money and in terms of work coming your way, like an increase of work. Jupiter generally being in your 10th house all the way until June 30 next year should be beneficial for the career matters. It has been a little bit contradicted by Saturn and by a square to Mars last month and by eclipse season. So I think it's going to start to like open up. So, if I had to tell you like when it would be the best time to like make financial moves, potentially like sometime between October 21st and November 7th. But that period between November 7th and like April 25th can also be quite nice for maybe making some final adjustments, but like I would urge you to be pretty careful. The good news is you have a strong ruler of your chart and the strong ruler of the house of other people's money, mortgage loans and things like that. So I think she generally blesses you with support of other people and with being financially savvy. So that's, I think, quite beautiful here. So that's what I think about those two things. And so yeah, like, in terms of themes, I think career continues being an important topic as Jupiter stays in Cancer mm, until June 30 next year. Saturn is here in the sixth house until February 13, 2026. So a lot of focus on professional matters. And then, well, you were just wondering, right? Like, kind of what are the themes until the end of the year? As you mentioned, Mercury will go retrograde. I think it goes retrograde in Sagittarius, right? Let me look at my trusted planner for the insights. For those of you who want to have a trusted planner, check out my website to get your 2026 planner. But Mercury retrograde is between November 9th and November 29th. So it's going to be moving from Sagittarius to Scorpio. So yeah, again, sort of all financial matters I would urge you to do until November 7th. And so those are kind of the biggest ones. Pluto is still in the fifth house, but that's not necessarily new information. It's going direct right now, which could bring some maybe like clarity in terms of how to express your creative energy and how to express your desires in a more constructive way, I'd say. So, any follow up questions? I feel like I answered kind of most things. Again, if you wanted to get like specific dates and more insight, I would recommend visiting my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, for like a full year forecast so we can take a look at things in a more specific way. And so, okay, after Joanne, the last person of the day, finishing closing ceremony of the day is Nashira. Nashira, are you here with us? Joanne says financial challenges for a bit. Yeah, I think Uranus being in the eighth house since 2018 has brought a lot of like ups and downs. And even Mars being in the second house right now can bring a tendency to like maybe make more, but also spend more. There may be sudden spendings that are coming up, and the retrograde as well. Like with this retrograde, Joanne, coming up, keep in mind that you may be, if the money comes in, be careful with spending it, because when Mercury goes retrograde, this you might realize that this money is actually spoken for by somebody else or something else. But do book a reading if you have additional questions. And Nashira, I see you. Let's look at you. Okay, I see your information. We have a lot of Tauruses today. And what is your question, Nashira? Oh, okay. So on PayPal, you said you're looking for reassurance that things are going to be all right. Anything you'd like to elaborate on? Anything else you want to share? You're saying, I'm expecting at 40 and you're in a new city. Congratulations on expecting. I hope everything goes well. The positive now is Jupiter being in Cancer. It should be blessing relationships and things. So, okay, before we talk about this, is this correct for you? Taurus, Sun, Aries, Moon, Scorpio rising? Do let me know. Okay, it is correct. So let's see. So you're born with Saturn on the ascendant. That tends to be a sign of someone who is an old soul on some level, and maybe, works and like tends to grow as fine wine and improve and gain more confidence as you get older. So I think that's very much, and even your moon being in the balsamic lunar phase also suggests that you're someone who might kind of, you know, bloom as you get older, basically. So like in that regard, the fact that you're expecting and you're 40 is not very much unexpected, because like, I think Saturn tends to create this sense of like delays, very much, strong delays. Hi Malika, or Malika, sorry if I'm saying your name incorrectly. I am live on YouTube and on Instagram, so just FYI if you're watching me, but I am wrapping up at this point already. So, yeah, so there's definitely this sense of like with your chart that you get better in a lot of ways as you get older. Saturn on the ascendant will do that. Will definitely affect that. So you are 40, and 40 is, funny enough, the year of the fifth house. So the topics of children and childbearing are very much active at the age of 40, similarly at 28, similarly at 52, which I guess maybe a little less at 52, just because I'm sure there are women that have carried babies at 52, but it's harder, right? But yeah, like 40 activates your Jupiter. Jupiter is in the house of home and family. So, And what's positive too is the fact that you are being 40, you are in the fifth house, and the fifth house is ruled by Jupiter. And so Jupiter is presently in Cancer, which is the sign of its exaltation. So I think it's another sign that, like, until your next birthday, you are under this protective umbrella and influence of the healthy, exalted Jupiter. And it's in Cancer, so it's all about growth and expansion. And so in that regard, I think this is a positive sign. And there's also an important change happening with Uranus finally leaving your seventh house of relationships. It is coming back between November 7th and April 25th next year, but then it's going to leave your seventh house for good. And so I think if you've experienced a lot of shakeups in terms of relationships and identity, there is one final round between November and April next year. But then after that, you can expect more stability. Of course, Uranus is not completely gone. It then goes into your eighth house of partners' finances and transformations and sudden events. And so it can maybe shake up financial matters a little bit, but there's going to be more stability because it leaves your angular house. So if anything, it can bring shakeups, but shakeups that also, I think, like uplift and not uplift, but like transform and empower you. And through like facing maybe some shadows, you learn to have inner emotional stability. Um, Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing. Anything else? I mean, your question was a little bit more general, so let me know if you have any follow-up questions. You're saying you feel that. Okay. Yeah, Uranus has been messing with people with strong Taurus or even Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo placements because it's been in a fixed sign. So it has been, and your ascendant is pretty late in Scorpio and your sun is pretty late in Taurus. So I think it has been encouraging you to take risks, right? You're saying the question was broad. I know, just wanted to know what stuck out to you. Yeah, one thing I would tell you, take good care of your health. Saturn is about to go into your sixth house of health, work, and service, which might suggest that you're about to enter this period of a lot of grinding. And it might be because you're about to have a baby and there is a lot that goes into rearing a child and taking care of the child. And it might feel like you're sort of about to go into this tunnel where you're just working and working and working. So make sure that you have sort of good routines and structures and that you're putting the mask on yourself first before you take care of the baby, right? Because the child will depend on your inner contentment and happiness and very much will project and reflect that back at you. So do take good care of yourself. The next 2 years with Saturn and Aries could be very much the time when it's like you're taking care of things. Okay, you're saying you're right. I've been working to get financially secure all year. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and like Saturn might also suggest that maybe it's just the time in which you're very busy. And so it will be even more important to have good protocols and good foundations and kind of more stability in your life. Hi, Gad. So Nashira, I hope this answers your question. I do think for sure while you are in a Jupiter ruled year until your next birthday, there is a lot of like sort of protective and supportive energy. And it's also good if you're due sometime before June 30th, because that means your baby is going to have Jupiter in Cancer. Okay, you're saying, oh, it does. I appreciate your insights. Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you to everyone who watched today. Thank you for joining and for sending your donations and for asking your questions. Oh, and Ashira says I am due before June. That's wonderful. You're gonna get the baby with this lovely Jupiter in Cancer, and that's already like a blessing for the child. So I hope you have a happy rest of your pregnancy and a healthy baby and a good delivery. And yeah, good luck. Good luck with everything. Good night, Bhavana, and good night, everyone, or good morning if you're watching in Australia or somewhere in that part of the world. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you guys very soon. Like I said, I try to do lives every Monday, if not on Instagram, then on YouTube. So, and if you want a full-sized reading, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. Okay. Bye, everyone.